Hi, Monkyvers! Hi! Welcome to the section of the channel that is called Spiritual Talk, where we chat about the spiritual things, vibrations, and all of that. Sometimes I always rely on help, but let's do it in a spiritual way. Anyway, before this video will start, leave the guard down. I know you want to say a lot to me, I know you want maybe to comment a lot. Leave the guard down a little bit and let me say my own tea. Let me say my own story about what I think this is very important to do when you want to be in a relationship with a woman and all of that. I mean, I'm not in a relationship with a woman, but I was, you know, talking with a lot of women back then, and I wanna come here and say my experience on what I think is very important to don't hate men and don't come in from a place when you want to be with a woman, but because you hate men. So the thing with this is not about I care about this. I'm in this position. I'm very neutral with this. So essentially, this thing happened when I was more younger, like 16. I don't know. I can, but it was since then when I started to notice these signs about me and the way that I, show up or the way that I was. And the thing that I was pointing to is always I knew deep down in my heart that I'm married to parents. And what I'm doing this is when is because I have a tarot reading yesterday. So it's a reflection of like what I don't actually have a partner yet, what I don't, And the tarot reading show up and it's like there is so many things that you need to heal, such as bad things that happened to you and beliefs and all of that. So it's like, well, why? Like, and the reading show up that in the way that I talk about women is very different. The women that I love and care about and I like is way different of men. It doesn't give like the same sparkle on me. I mean, I do have a sparkle also when I talk about men, but it's quite different for women. And it was interesting to even see like the why, always this came in place, and a lot of the experience I would say that I have with like women that were bad teach me to don't hate men in a sense of like, because I passed for a lot of things like um I was harmed physically, emotionally by some guy older than me when I was a little girl, and I was harmed by, and I was, hurt by the only person who was the only my resource emotionally. That was my dad. So that hate didn't come out of the place of like, I think every man is the same, blah 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 blah. It comes essentially by that. So why to me is so important to set this is because I also want to break down to you some of the beliefs that some people have between these things, and is that people assume sometimes that when you have this thing that happened to you, such as abuse or something like that, think that you're gonna feel rejection or fear, because that is also the energy towards men only. But that is not only the energy that we're going to show up, the rejection towards men, because I also feel rejected to any type of relationship, especially sexual intimacy. I always felt that guilt on my body because was caused by someone that harmed me or hurt me, and they escape a phase on me that I was still wanting to skip. So it comes on both, I would say. It comes on both people. Essentially just sexual intimacy with everyone that you're going to be with, and it takes time also. So be sure that I'm not coming here from a place of like I was hurt, because I feel like if I came in from a place of being hurt, I would ended up hurt, and if I came from a place of hate, I would ended up being hate or being hating or being mad. So why this experience this middle, I want to explain to you how I make peace with that through this time, and just I'm encouraged you to also do that. It's because I used to like a girl that were like came in from a place of like hating men a lot, and she was always gonna complain about men, blah 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 blah. And I knew that for like I knew two feelings that were primarily on me, that were like reflecting on her as well. That was, I know deep down that she's just coming from a place of hurt and coming from a place of hate. But I thought for a second that she was coming from a place of love. But as long as we were talking and as long as the relationship was kind of developing by the time, I knew that she was going to, be okay. My purpose always was to help her and make her feel happy again. That kind of helped. That's my own thing. But at a certain moment, she ended up just being going back to men, because I was also helping her to get through that fear, to get through that rejection, to get through that hate. And at the end of the day, she was like, after all, she was going back to men. And I was like, I was hurt. But also, that was my mission to heal. So, the thing that happened to me, and I think is very humbling to say this, a big shout out to all the men that are gay or straight, um, was that when I was having these things, was very humbling to me, reaching out to men for like advice or like something, but not in the sense of like misogyny, like we are making fun of women. I mean, some jokes were spoken, but we need to get a certain relief. And so we were talking, so I was like, what is this teaching me? Because I has always been like a big learning in life, and I was like, what is this teaching me? Maybe. And I was doing reflection of why this is always happen, because it happens quite often, and that's what I'm bringing out this topic of like I was needing to be heard by women to find out that I don't need to hate men, and that I need to pretend, I don't need to be men are all the time, because a gay man or even a straight guy, respectfully, could give you the best advices you will ever need when you feel down. Especially when I said to them, like, from the day one that I was into women. That's what I think is most important, to be honest. And yeah, after that I came with like peace with that. I feel like I didn't having any complaining about like that. And what I'm telling you this is because I also was not about like experience. I was also searching and seeing some stuff between these things of like I see that some women that are more into this kind of feeling of like, but patriarchy, no, but the patriarchy, blah 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 blah. But they are only focusing on one type of hate, because this could have underlying the opposite of hate. It's, to me, sadness. So I feel like when you are coming from a place of like hating men, you can only cause to another person, the partner, the girl that you want to be, and sadness, because if you're not coming from the right place, there's gonna like some case of some girl that I saw on the internet that she was like always hating men, always pointing it out, always being like, you know what, men are blah 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 blah, and pointing it out. And she was into girls, but she was coming from a place of like, I hate this, I hate that, I hate this. And I feel like once you make peace with that, you can stop, first of all, glorifying all the little things that women does for you, because also in this community there's gonna be these things as well. And also stop to being like that feeling of like I'm missing something, that is when you know that you need to put some work on it, because you are going to feel certain not fulfillment at all, and you're going to just be like, well, I feel something missing. And that is when you need to come back to yourself and be like, I'm coming from a place of hate, or I'm coming up from a place of genuine love. And how you can know about that is when you're not pointing it out, being like, you know what, this man, this, especially for girls that are into women, I've been seeing that a lot. That they pointing out, oh my gosh, this man took you wrong, blah blah blah. And it's okay to know that. It's okay to accept that. That's what we are calling it, a state of acceptance, but not a state of like rejection or just that, because that causes to be in stress. That is not good for our vibes and well being. So they're coming from like a was a comparison, pointing out men, especially, and being like, yeah, blah blah blah. But they're not pointing out, just being in a place of like being okay, because after that I saw through my eyes, because I was following this couple a long time, and they were like, yeah, men are this, men are that, and at a certain moment, one of the girls that noticed that was like coming up for the place of hate, she come back to men. And this with this, I'm not bringing out the topic of like biphobia or being bisexual. From if a person recognizes themselves like as a person who is bisexual, it's okay. But to me, it always come from like a place of, you need to come from a place of love, genuine love, not a statement of like being this way or being that, because I feel that was on the internet. I've been seeing people that were like also, being like coming from a place of like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna kiss this person, I'm gonna kiss this girl, and I'm gonna say that, you know, I also saw this video of like this girl kissing this girl, and they were like, oh my gosh, look at me, the name of the boy, and they were like, I'm not into you, because they coming from a place of hate, or what causes is to being sad. And maybe you're being like, oh my gosh, but I'm in a relationship now with a women and everything is good, and I feel like that was meant. But also, I want to add more to that of like, you can also improve that a little bit more if you want to be with a girl, or even if you are with a girl, of like thinking that you're coming from a place of love, but only for women, but you're coming from a place of hate only for men. And that's been a lot of times. Like, I've been seeing that quite often. Like, they are only going to be for the girls, and they are not only gonna be for men, And with this, I don't mean that being pleasing with men. No, I don't mean that. It's just learn to, that you can always be without things and with both people, in the sense of like be at peace, and add to that list rejection list, because your body will always feel that kind of guilt. For example, like me, I always have my heartbeat, in my stomach. I want to throw up. I don't. I'm not gonna be like, oh my gosh. I also have headaches when I'm feeling this way of like, I know that someone is coming from a place of like this. And why is so important? I feel like, and not related to bisexuals, none of that. Just when you are going to come from a place, there's going to be some friction. How we can know that? It's when we go to the grocery store, when we are going to do simple things, honestly. Even in the simple, little, mundane things like coffee, drinking a coffee or something like that, we're not going to find out for ourselves. We're going to just be like, yeah, this feeling this way, and there's gonna be some underlying feeling on it. And I feel like when we want to be more on for the people, and a little advice to all bisexuals, that are out there is that know that when this happened is because um I've been seeing that with like girls that like girls and girls that like both, and they ended up being like um I'm hating men. You a person that you like girls probably, but I'm a good girl that hate men as well. But once they get through me, they always think that it's because they are gonna be, blah blah blah. Maybe there's a little work to put in, but know that they maybe sometimes are going to only also see people because if they tell a friend that they want that they like also men, you don't need to focus on that, because the main denominator and the main thing is that they're into people but they are not into because when you need to see because that could cause us to feel sadness, feeling low vibration and without motivation at all, because when something bad happened to us we can always have this thought, and even myself, of like I used to have when a girl left me for a man or something. Always coming up like, well, I need maybe to hate my own things. I need to hate maybe because these things happen, but we need to think about like they are only liking people. Besides what they have down there, they like people, and if they leave you, that was because you were not for them, and they were not for you, and that's totally, totally okay. And yeah, it's always a thing that were happening to me, and I feel like I need to give a certain meaning to it so it could be helpful to you as well. Because we live in a world that it's always gonna be good to hate, besides love and besides to care about the peace. You can have your own boundaries, but you don't need to fetishize or even just to be in like, because when you are going also for the place of hate, I notice that quite often. Like I'm pissed on it now to say no to that, but I know it's not a good energy to come to. But they always kind of have this misogynist feeling because when you hate, it's because when you want to be at a certain level, kind of. And there is going to be this pickup line like some girls that want to fetishize other girls of like, what, blah blah blah, because when they're coming from a place of hate, they're going to feel some rejection, and meanwhile, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, you need to do this to me, you need to blah blah blah, you need to blah blah blah, and they're going to be this blah blah, and that's it. They're going to fetishize things like girls, especially sexually and emotionally. They're going to just fetishize some things because they don't make peace with us. So they're not going to only reflect like only that for men. They're going to reflect that for you. For example, I see that some girl will like, I hate a man, but my woman is okay. My woman is fine, and she can give me the word. She could give me nothing, but I could feel everything, and I'm like, that is not called from a place of love, honey. That is coming from a place of sometimes and mostly feeling hate, because when we stop to being like this type of things and we make peace with that, we are going to accept and resurrect our own value by seeing like my women or my partner, whatever, if you are with a girl, is going to be a good girl, is going to be this person that nurtured me, that knows my value, is worth it, and she gave me all the things that she can possibly get me, and I know she's coming from a place of love, and I know that, and it feels less rejection, and it feels good, and it's okay, but not in the sense of like she could give me nothing, I could feel everything. That's not the vibe, you know. It's as if you were being like trying to figure it out, because also how I can explain this is when a girl is trying to figure it out for herself and she wants to try, whatever. But I feel like it's also important the open communication first, and then you consider rules of like, I want to discover myself. I don't want to have something real. I don't want to be in like a serious relationship or something. So you can do that without any resentment after, because I noticed that there is a lot of resentment, and the cycle is like women who isn't sure and didn't know the rules or didn't know how to set like the things before knows a girl that is up to a relationship, serious or something. They're going to be together, but the girl is going to say, "Oh my gosh, I'm not sure I'm into women," or "Oh my gosh, I'm into women." But there's going to be this thing of like kind of worriness that will lead another person to feel like certain rejection even to her as well. And it's going to be the cycle of reaction, blah, blah, and it's going to multiply like it will be like a flower. And what I'm saying flowers is because we're all going to be the same thing. The same thing. Because flowers, they're going to be the same. Doesn't matter the type, they're going to be the same. And I feel like once you do that, they're going to be okay, going to be safe, and whatever thing that was going to happen to you. And even to me, that some women came to me one time and she was like, I left my ex, so I feel like I'm ready to be with the girl. But she was coming up from the place of hate, you know, because I also received some comments of like girls that were reaching out to me, even like, I'm reaching out to you because I hate men, so I feel like I can try, And I don't wanna truly pass for that again. I've asked so many times to really pass for that again, ever. And I really feel that my mission is just to encourage people to be better, to encourage people to see another side of life, even though. But I totally respect each journey for every single girl. And to me, even though it took me time to realize it and just don't be like, this, that, and that's what it was going up to most of the time when I was, discovering myself, even though that's why I never put a man on place of like, I'm going to try with you, I'm going to know, because I knew that my work and my own feelings were not related to, if I don't try enough with men. I knew that was more related to, I need to heal more so I can maybe define if I'm attracted to men and women. Or maybe I'm just attracted to women. And this always came from like, well, it's gonna be okay. I'm fine, I'm safe, and we need to stop competing with every single woman, every single man that we see, just to see the approval of like the person that we want to, and pointing it out some laws and things is not gonna be worth it at the end of the day. And always trusting your gut is gonna be important. I always follow my gut besides all the qualities that some people have or something. And I knew that when my heart knows, I know. And when my gut feeling knows, I know. And there's going to be certain things that will happen, but I knew that it's going to be okay if the person that I want to be with is going to be mature enough, or we're not coming from a place of hate or underlying. And I feel like for girls, I love the masculine aesthetic or things like that, because I'm very diverse in my taste. I'm very diverse in the sense of like body image and all of that. And I want to say to you straight up that I'm not going for the looks. I mean, I'm bisexual. The only thing that I care about is your mind and your soul, because I'm a demisexual. The connection that it will be the bond. So I feel like it can be tricky for someone to understand. It doesn't mean that I don't love you physically. I mean, I do appreciate how you look, and I know it is, and I know when someone is attractive physically. but I will not be always gonna be attracted to that most of the time. I'm attracted to the bond that I create with someone. And I really feel that it needs to be said also. And there's not gonna be anything like cheating or something, because I didn't know why, and I knew also when I just see a bunch of girls going out of the gym and they were like having this big booty area. And I really didn't feel nothing. That's how I knew. You wanna know. But I'm saying this of like we need to stop comparison with like women that love the masculine aesthetic and women that like the feminine aesthetic. You don't need to change yourself for others to like you as well, because I feel like with the masculine aesthetic, you're just like saying, you know what, I love to dress like a man. You know what, I love to dress in clothes that are more masculine or something. They say sometimes this, but they're gonna be like, you need to see me like this, you need to blah blah. But it also comes from like identifying who you are. It comes from like a place of like doing this, and you don't need to feel ashamed just because you don't bring some masculinity to the table. It's gonna be every single cup of tea for everyone that they love. I really do, for example, love my crush. How she can be one day sporty, one day chic or something, and that's totally okay to me and enough to me, because I'm not currently in a relationship, so I will always really appreciate that. But if someone wants to come from like a place of like comparison, just saying, I'm better, I know you're better, but you don't need to set to me straight up like I'm better because of that. Like, if a girl picks you, that's it. That's the main dynamic. You don't need to be comparison. You don't need to do this. You don't need to. That's it. That be on peace. Okay, be on peace. And yeah, because when we came from a place of hate again, we are going to be compared like, oh my gosh, I can rock this. Oh my gosh, I can do this. And we came in from like a place of that. We're going to end up. That's how you know. And as soon as you realize, you will be like, I learned that. I learned that. And with this, I'm not saying that avoid the experience, but maybe a little bit checking your heart as well, because we need to work in these things as well, and we need to be okay, and we need to stop feeling, and stop not feeling but recognizing that feeling, then get release and heal. That is my quote: release and heal, feel, release and heal. And in a sense of like, it's gonna be okay. you know you are who you are. That's it. You don't need to compare yourself to another person. You don't need to hate men to say that you're a feminist. And to kind of add in a little bit more to this is that my teacher always taught me that, because he knew about this movement of women empowering. What I think is better to promote these things is when men are relating to feminism, they're thinking of like um make men feel bad about themselves. But that is not the whole point. I feel just because some girls will like be in these ways of like icky and like feeling, always having this feeling of like hating men and all of that, there's going to be that some men will think and relate that feeling to, not equality, not things. And by oppressing men, you will not be empowering women. You are going to be, no, you're going to literally be the misogynist man that you see out there. So you need to come from a place of like love and really caring, so you can then promote equality for everyone. That's why some men also think that, oh my gosh, feminism is about oppression of men, because they saw a bunch of women, and most of the women coming from a place of hate or sadness, coming to them and being like, yeah, I see that, and I'm gonna only relate to that. And we need to make that more promotion to healthy habits of equality. How we can do that is by doing these things. So then coming from the place of hate, misogynist men and the patriarchy men that you see and talk about that often come from a place of hate and resentment towards women because they were hurt by women. And if we're going to came for the same feeling, we're going to be the man, but changing just the gender. Do you know what I mean? And that is not good for society. That is not good for relationships. That is not good for everyone. And the best example I can give it, and it's gonna be okay. It doesn't need to be related on you're this, you're that. And gonna be. It's gonna be okay. You need to say that to you. Repeat as many times as you can, but it's gonna be okay. I don't know what I need to say so many times because I was carrying this feeling a lot with me. But I finally had the courage to say, and I organized my thoughts a little bit. So, yeah, I hope this video will be helpful to you. I hope I bring some light to your life, some sparkling on it, because I would love to speak at morning. And that was it, Monkyvers, for today's video. To all of my women and men and non-binary and part of the LGBTQ plus community that want to promote more healthy content to all the people. And know that when you came from two polarities, you're going to be not bad, but with a lot of courage on you, and it's not good on long term. I feel like it's okay because what we teaches us hate is that we know that we don't agree with something. That is what teaches feel hate. We know that we are not agree, we are not okay with some stuff, but on a deep level. And what we can learn from like feeling sadness, it's we feel so like caring about that. That's why we feel sadness, and to start from that, you can always be like, I'm going to be a new version of myself now, going to improve that, and just see the different light and everything that I see and everything that I do. So yeah, have a good day. Take care. Drink your greenies, tea maybe. And all in all, take care. Bye. Bye. Also, energy is important. Have deep care on your energy level class. Okay. Bye. Take care. Take care. Bye.